All right, I think we're starting.
Excellent. Okay.
Here we are.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. We got Simply Betta here. We're going to talk about bettas, hopefully. I hope you have your questions ready.
Hi, guys.
Why don't you go ahead and tell them about yourself and your channel?
Sure. Okay. Hi, everyone who's here. Thanks for popping in. My name's Taylor. My channel's called Simply Betta, and I'm obsessed with betta fish. And I'm here to, I guess, talk about bettas and answer your guys' questions or whatever happens.
So, how many bettas do you think you have?
Oh my gosh, I haven't counted for a long time, including my fry or not including my fry?
Not including fry. Too hard to count fry.
Oh gosh. Not including fry. I probably have about 40.
40?
Not including fry. Yeah, it's not too bad. A bunch of those are juveniles who have grown out, who are now ready to bring to the pet store or sell. So I probably have about 40, not including my babies.
All right, well, somebody says you're quiet, so I think we're having that
Oh.
problem again.
Uh-oh. All right, well, do you remember what the mixer levels were on our test?
Well, I know you changed something too. That's what I don't remember.
Oh, I did? I turned off my webcam's microphone. That's what I did to to get rid of the echo.
Hmm.
And then I think, oh no, okay.
Well, I have you
so-
turned all the way up.
Okay, how about your system volume? I think that might have something to do with it.
All the way up.
Really? Okay, guys, I think I'm turned up all the way. What if I kind of project myself and I talk really loud like this? Is this helping if I talk loud?
Can you get your mic closer?
Oh, it's right here, right next to my mouth. See that? Yeah, I have huge headphones on. It's my gaming headset.
This literally just worked when we tested it 30 minutes ago.
I know, that's the thing. Can somebody tell me if I sound louder right now and projecting myself a little bit more? Anybody? I'll keep talking.
Well, I can turn me down so people can turn their speakers up.
Oh, maybe that would work. Maybe so.
Someone wants to know what's in the tank behind you.
What's in the tank behind me? This back here behind me is a bearded dragon. She's my very first bearded dragon. I got her for my birthday as a late birthday present. She was somebody surrendered her to my local pet store. Yeah, she's great. Now this is my first beardie. I think she's going through brumation right now. She's acting really funny and just kind of not moving. And it was really startling at first. I was really worried about it, and then I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it's brumation. I hope. Jeez. Okay, it looks like people can hear her fine. Or can hear me fine. Hear me fine.
Yeah, some people can, some people can't. Speaker all the way up and she's still hard to hear. I get it though. We went through this problem last time on your live stream.
Yeah. No, I thought we fixed it. I thought we did that test. And yes, CA Pearson, we did test it, and it sounded great. We tested it on a live stream.
Yep, we did a...
That it's, it's happening again. We thought we fixed it, this audio problem, but I guess it's come back. I don't know. I'll just try to talk loud.
Yeah, if you want to pick some questions, I'm going to take a look at the settings.
Yeah, sure. So Bob is going to try to fix my audio. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let's see. I saw a question up here. I'm going to try to grab. Silverstream Bettas says, there's a person on Instagram that shipped me bettas with no insulation and 3 out of the 4 died. What's your opinion on this? Ooh, that person should have shipped with insulation, absolutely. Especially if the forecast, had really hot temperatures or really cool temperatures. I don't think it's very professional to not ship with insulation. I mean, like, maybe if you looked at the forecast and everything was going to be like a perfect 80 degrees and it was never going to get any hotter and there was no direct sunlight on the box ever, it could be done. But I would never do that. Yeah, we'll scroll down. Okay, people say it sounds like I'm far from the microphone, which I am not. Will that sound any better? I squish it up to my face.
It said that you became great for a second.
Oh, I did. Well, that's really cool. I wasn't doing anything differently. I was just sitting here talking. JD, she popped in loud for a second. Were you fiddling with the audio? Ooh, Jessica Animal says she popped in loud. My connection's great. Rev Ryan says if you lowered your volume anymore, he wouldn't be able to hear you. But his volume's all the way up. I don't know. Yep, headphones are plugged in all the way. Well, Bob's messing with the audio right now. You know, I'm going to check my audio settings and make sure that weird thing isn't happening again where my webcam shook over.
Automatically turned it on.
That would be strange. Okay. Audio settings. Nope. Nope, I'm good. It's using my headset. Ah, it's just that thing again. Okay, well, Bob's looking at the audio
That's working.
settings.
It's fixed. There you go.
Fixed? Oh, gosh. Okay, I won't touch anything at all. Silverstream Betta says, the person was Betta's for a cause and multiple people had this problem. Yeah. That, I would never ship without insulation, unless it was perfect. Yeah, I mean, you could put out an Instagram post or complain to her and tell her, or this person, the seller, that they should be using insulation, absolutely, just for safety.
All right, I'm going to just screenshot this real quick.
Okay. Sure thing. DH Aquatics, I think you're using your computer's microphone, not the headset. Nope, I don't have a computer microphone. I only have a headset. Taylor Steenfott says, what's the deal with fin nipping? What is the deal, Taylor? I have no idea. Some people say it's because their fins are too large. Some people say there's a genetic component. If you breed fish who nip their fins, they make offspring with more propensity to nip their fins. I don't know, it happens.
Hey, look at that. We fixed the audio and we got almost double the people here now.
Oh, we fixed the audio?
People
okay,
were angry.
Oh, yeah, I know. Wow. I hope it stays fixed. Just remember what you did. Or did you do anything?
I did. That's why I screenshotted it, so I can remember.
Right on. Bob fixed it, guys. Bob fixed it. Okay.
Where did you get that cool boat picture behind you?
Cool boat? That's my grandpa's cool boat picture. I think it's a watercolor painting. Thanks for noticing. It is pretty cool. Flynn's Fish Forum. Hi. What's your favorite Betta, Taylor? That is really, really tough. Really tough to say. Even I am not 100% sure what my favorite type is. I really like super blacks with a white butterfly band on them, but I love kois. I love giants. I'm in a phase right now where I'm trying to narrow down what I like so I can focus on it. It's hard. It's really hard.
Where did you find your giants? I've never even heard of those until I saw them on your channel.
Oh, my giants I imported from a breeder and a reseller in Indonesia.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're tough. They're tough to find. Sometimes you can see them on eBay, but they're really expensive. They're like over $100 sometimes. And they're not cheap importing them either, but I wanted to start with some good stock. And I'm pretty sure I have some fry growing up, which I'm excited about.
You're pretty sure?
Document it. Yeah. It was a spawn where I stole the eggs from a giant spawn because they were eating them, and I put it in with a different daddy, and the other daddy raised them until they hatched. And I'm not 100% sure, if I can't differentiate the giant fry from the normal sized fry yet. I think I can, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm waiting to find out if I am 100% sure soon. I sure hope so. Big City Betta says, in her opinion, fin nipping is definitely genetic, but also can be caused or triggered by outside forces. I agree. Absolutely.
Really? Genetic? That seems weird.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, let's say I bred half moons and I had 10 amazing half moons ready for sale and one who was biting his fins. Somebody would probably take the fin nipper and breed him and use him as a breeder because they can't really sell him anymore, right? And do that over and over and over again, and you may have just created a strain of fish who's has more of a chance to have offspring that nip their fins. It makes sense, absolutely.
Huh. Never thought of it like that.
As some people refuse to breed fin nippers because of that. If a fish starts nipping, then they're automatically disqualified from their breeding program, which I think is pretty cool. Jose says, any good source for solid super red or solid royal blue half moons? Oh man, there's out there. I'd go to the IBC Facebook page, or the International Betta Congress Facebook page, and be like, hey, I'm looking for something half moons, and somebody could probably point you to a breeder.
What can you do to relieve a fin nipping fish? Is there anything you can do for that?
Oh man, well, I know what you can do is just make sure their water's super clean and their tank is clean to prevent any chance for fin rot. Some people think that adding more stimulation into their tank can help by, plants or maybe a little mirror they can flare at. It can distract them, but sometimes it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and they'll never stop nipping their fins. Taylor says, where can Bob get some Simply Bettas from my spawns coming up? And I might have a website or a web store open soon for whenever I have fish that are ready for sale.
That'd be nice.
I might start shipping fish. I have never done it before, but I need the practice, and it's something I'd like to do.
Well, you can practice on me.
All right, it sounds good.
Send me some fish.
Absolutely. Ella Gregory says, help! My female has a big black-looking spot on her side, not eating. Please help, what do I do? Oh, it's hard to tell these kinds of things without photos. It is, sorry. Just make sure her tank's really clean and monitor her.
Yeah, probably a better thing to do, if you go to my Facebook group, which is in the description, and post a picture there. I know you're pretty active there, so we got a couple good Betta fish people there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, post that picture on Bob's Facebook page. Big City Bettas. Yeah, behavioral issues can totally be genetic in Bettas, not just fin nipping. Interesting.
So Shogun says, I have a comic goldfish that bumps other fish, so he's alone. Can I put a Betta with him? I would say no. Completely different water.
Yeah, Betta water would be too warm for the goldfish, absolutely. No, I probably will never ship to Canada. They have some pretty strict import laws.
Yep, it's kind of a pain to ship to Canada legally.
And it'd be expensive, too. Very expensive. There are some breeders in Canada, though. There's a Canada chapter of the International Betta Congress. Google it. They have a Facebook page, too.
Roger wants to know how your ram's horn snails are doing.
My ram's horn snails are doing awesome. I have tons of little eggs everywhere. I have blue ones and pink ones that are from Ray's Aquaria, and they're super cute. I also have some brown ones, and I love them. They're really neat. I love my little snails. I used to hate snails. Remember, Bob? I was telling you I used to hate snails.
I remember.
I used to kill all the snails I saw, mostly pond snails. But I decided to embrace them. I got a bunch of mystery snails from Bob and ram's horns, and I let all the pond snails just do their thing, and I've embraced it. I've embraced snails.
So Donna says, can you talk about sorority setups? I'm pretty sure you're against them. Is that right?
No, not necessarily. For sorority setups, it kind of depends on the temperament of your fish. I know it's a lot easier to do a sorority if you were able to get females who were raised together, who were never separated from other fish. It's a lot easier that way. And always, when doing a sorority, there's a chance that a fish will become nasty and you might have to separate her. It just depends, but I think it totally can be done.
Saltwater Betta, would you ever try to keep one?
Saltwater Betta? What is that?
I've never heard of it.
No. Is it like a saltwater fish they call a saltwater Betta?
I don't know. I'm going to have to Google it because now I'm curious.
I know. Saltwater Bettas. Let's talk about Betta fight clubs. No. Cape Cod Tropical Fish Keeper. I love snails. Nothing wrong with them. Absolutely. I can't believe I used to hate snails. Mystery Bob Aquapros. Hi. Did I say Mystery Bob snails?
Mystery Bob snails.
Did I say that?
That's what Aquapros says. Mystery Bob snails.
Okay. Not sure. I hate pond snails. They're infesting my tank. How can I take control? Make sure there's not enough waste for them to populate on, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Reduce feeding. If you have a lot of snails, it probably means you're feeding too much, unless you want them.
That's true, unless you want them.
So interesting, there is a marine betta.
What are you talking about?
And it says it's peaceful.
Is it actually in the betta family, or is it just called a betta?
That's probably the common name.
I'll have to look that up too. Turtle Girl says, curious, Bob, how did you get the live chat? Are you using OBS? Nope.
Nope. Thanks to someone, I'm using XSplit. And this is the first time I've ever used XSplit, and it's pretty cool. It's way better than OBS.
Nice.
But yeah. I just have the chat popped out from YouTube, is all.
Cool. Flynn's Fish Forum. Say I wanted to keep a single betta in a community tank. Are males more community friendly than females, or vice versa? No, not necessarily. I'd say females are more likely to be good community fish, but like I said, it just depends on the temperament of your fish. You might have a fish who's constantly chasing the other fish, trying to attack them, or you might have a fish who just doesn't care. So it depends.
Yeah, my two females got loose in a community tank. And
how'd they do?
They've been there for about a month now, doing awesome.
Right on.
Of course, I realize that can change at any time as they grow older. Generally, fish get a little more angry the older they get.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah.
Let's see. Taylor says, how do you sex bettas? Usually by looking at their finnage, by checking out to see if the female has an egg spot on the bottom, and that's what I do.
Yeah, because I have 5 fry growing out right now, but I can't tell if they're male or female.
Oh.
Still a little too
how
small,
old are
I think.
they?
I bought them as fry, and they didn't say how old. Like I got
are they
them
placots?
At like a ½ inch. Some kois.
Are they short fin or long fins?
Short fin.
Okay. Pretty soon you'll be able to tell the difference. You know, it might take a little while longer. You can see it in the body shape, and you can see it in the finnage. Or just on if one fish starts attacking all the other fish, it's probably a male.
Didn't your mystery snails, didn't you get eggs from them?
I did. I have
recently?
clutches I'm incubating right now. I have like 1 billion mystery snails. I have a ton right now. And I love them. And I also went out and I got some different colors. You gave me the gold ones, but I got blue mystery snails. I got pink mystery snails. I got white mystery snails.
Jeez.
I love them. I went nuts. I admit it, but they're super cute.
After I got the gold ones, I got blue and gold at the same time, but my blue ones never stayed blue.
No?
And then I got black ones, and the black ones did pretty well. Now I don't have any.
Oh. Wait, why didn't they stay blue? What do you mean they didn't stay blue?
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't, because their shells were eroding, but my golds and my blacks weren't. It was just the blue ones.
Oh, that's interesting. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I just got like a weak strain or what.
Wow. CW Aqua Hobby says, why do bettas get dropsy? Usually, why do bettas get dropsy? It could be anything from bad water quality to an unhealthy fish whose kidneys are failing, or bacterial infection. There can be a lot of things that cause dropsy.
All right, we got a $5 super chat.
Oh, nice.
And there it pops up. Hey guys, off beta subject, but I just wanted to say thank you, Bob, for your help with my 90-gallon that crashed on me. All is well now. You rock. Hey, well that's good, because that was just last week.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
Great, Michael.
I like nearite snails, says Rich. Do you have any nearite snails yet?
I have a couple. I have a few nearite snails in my goldfish tank. And they're neat. I like them.
Yeah, those are cool. Those can come in like hundreds of different patterns and colors.
I have the tigers and zebras, and I had some of the sun thorns, and I think I still have all of them. I think. Pine Tree Looms, you're both super awesome. Thank you. You're so nice.
Thank you, Vince. Good to see you here.
Wait, AB says, I found 5 bettas in Walmart's trash. What? So he rescued them, and holy moly, just 5 fish in the trash that were alive? That's horrible. Big City Bettas, dropsy is a symptom, not a disease. Yes, very true.
So Jadrian Aquatic wants to know how you've attributed your explosive growth, or what do you attribute your explosive YouTube growth on YouTube?
I I think
Everyone
it's
wants
just
to know.
I know my channel did grow pretty fast. I only started in April. I think highly edited videos. I try to keep things fast-paced and interesting. And I've had experience with video editing before. I'm not just like starting out. And then also just being lucky. In the beginning, I had some videos which kind of took off. Maybe it was the way I put the keywords in, or I titled it or something, but I had some popular videos to begin with, and I felt like that helped jumpstart my channel.
And you have really good thumbnails. I'm jealous of
And
your
the thumbnails. I put a lot of time into my thumbnails. I'll make like
tell.
6.
I'm really bad at it. I've been trying to get better.
Nice. Well, I love Photoshop. I use it for my job, so I like making thumbnails.
So far, I've been too cheap to buy Photoshop, but I try to use GIMP.
Okay, GIMP can work. Anything can work.
I'm just not very good at it yet.
You'll get the hang of it.
Dwayne is here. Good to see you, Dwayne. Real quick, Dwayne, Michael emailed me and wanted to know if you've got his emails because he hasn't heard from you. Completely off topic, but there you go.
Marmendia says, let's talk about marbling. I heard most bettas change color throughout their lives, but just the marble labeled bettas. I would say the marble bettas can change color throughout their lives. They can change their pattern, they can change their color, they can gain color, they can lose color. But if it's not a marble betta, if that betta doesn't have that genetic trait, then they're going to stay solid colored, most likely. There are some other genetic traits which could cause them to like lose their red color or gain red color as they age, but it just depends. It just depends. Ooh, Rich says, how big do wild bettas get? It depends on the variety. They can be super teeny tiny or they can be kind of big like that.
So somebody did ask a while ago, a long time ago, and I don't know why I just remembered it, but they said something like, is 3 gallons really big enough for a betta? Did we get that one?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay.
But
I don't know if that was one that you got when I was messing with the audio, but
I didn't notice.
Well, and from watching your channel, I would say definitely.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I have a hard time catching up with the chat. I get distracted and I jump around. I'm still working on that. 3 gallons is a great amount of space for a betta fish. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, small spaces. I know it's controversial, but small spaces, bettas can thrive in small spaces, provided you take care of the water however you need to make it pristine and perfect. If that's having a larger volume of water and a filter so you don't have to maintain the water as much, do that. But if you want a smaller container, you're going to have to take care of the water a lot more to keep those parameters perfect.
So I know you keep yours in like the 1 gallon. Mm-hmm. How often do you do water changes?
My breeders I keep in 1 and 2 gallon containers. And let's see, I do water changes. It depends on how heavy I'm feeding. If I'm feeding heavy, I'm getting some pairs ready to spawn, I might change it every single day. If not, I might change it 3 times a week. Maybe 3 times a week. 2 or 3 times a week for the gallon and 2 gallon sizes. And then for my jarred juveniles, who are actually jarred until they grow out to full size, they get a water change every day.
All right, so someone who's completely new to bettas, what is jarred? What does that term mean?
So when you have a big spawn of babies, eventually they're going to start getting aggressive towards each other. No, the males. You're going to have to separate the males, otherwise they are going to beat up and tear up those other fish. So you have to separate them into jars. And the jars, it can be anything. It can be like a big mason jar. It could be a little tiny tank. It could be an empty 2-liter soda bottle, just something to separate that fish away from the rest and let it grow out so then you can find it a new home.
So basically exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. It's jarring. You have to do it. You have to do it.
In the wild, do bettas typically only occupy a small area?
I have read that yes, they'll stake out a territory and they'll guard it just ferociously with their lives. I've read some interesting articles from really reputable breeders like Joep van Esch, who has the Betta Territory website. He argues that bettas are fine in small spaces, that in the wild they defend these itty-bitty patches of territory, and they do perfectly well in small spaces. If
Makes
that's
sense.
how the question... Oh, what was that?
Oh, I said, yeah, it makes sense if they do it in the wild. I mean,
It's true.
I wonder why people get so angry about it. Oh, people get angry about everything.
I think it's an emotional thing. It's... I don't really know.
Oh, Marmendia has another good question. What's your take on fin trimming? Some recommend it for treatment of fin rot or even cure fin nipping.
Yes, fin trimming can be used to cut off infected fins to help the fin grow if that fish has fin rot. It can be used in some beneficial ways. What I don't agree with is aesthetic trimming, like, oh, this fish, I'm just going to make its fins prettier. And some people do that. Some people trim the fins to make it more symmetrical or smoother, and I don't like that.
Wow.
Mr. Science Geek says, he says he liked the unboxing video of my snails from Ray's Aquaria. Well, it was fun to do, and I was super appreciative of those snails, because Ray just sent them to me, just like, here you go. I told her I'd send her some female bettas someday because she wants to start a sorority. We're going to trade snails for fish.
Sounds like a pretty good trade.
Mm-hmm. Aqua Apprentice, have you ever entered into any Betta shower? I'm sure he meant shows. Not yet, but I'm working towards it. And I'm super excited because then I want to go. I want to go to one of these shows.
So when you change your water, like every day or however often, how much do you change?
Usually 100%. My juveniles get 100% water change, and all of the mulm and poo on the bottom of their jars gets sucked out. And I do it really gently so you don't stress them. And, yep.
So are they in there without water for a while since you do 100%?
Oh, no. What I do is I'm right at my sink in my fish room, and I close the sink in case the fish comes out, and I just gently pour most of their water out. You know, I'll pour some new water in to mix up all the poo at the bottom and pour it out again, and then I gently just fill it back up. I need some water.
Hi all. Who is the pretty lady on top of Bob tonight? That is Simply Betta Lawn.
That's me. Hi, I'm Simply Betta. I have a channel called Simply Betta. I highly suggest you stop by my channel.
Yep, highly suggested you stop by.
Highly suggested.
Just did a rescape and 110% water change. All right, Bracken.
Oh, right on. Turtle Girl, are you going to be at the aquatic experience? No, I am not. I didn't know about the aquatic experience. I didn't know it existed until like a month ago, and it's just too short of notice for me to travel, especially with my kiddo. So I'm saying now I'm going to the next one, even if it's in, where is it?
New Jersey.
Halfway, New Jersey. I will fly across the country and go to it, because it sounds like a lot of fun. How long do you have to cycle a Betta's tank? I heard small tanks will never cycle. I think small tanks can cycle. I mean, what do you think, Bob? Have you heard that small tanks can't cycle?
Yeah, I think they'll cycle. The problem is it's really easy to crash a smaller tank because, I mean, your parameters can go pretty crazy pretty fast in a small volume of water. And I think that's the bigger problem.
That makes sense. But yeah, I think you can have a cycled filter on a pretty small tank and be just fine.
Yep, absolutely. Big City Betta says, thought that is true, they have found in controlled laboratory studies that bettas live far longer when kept in larger tanks. It's documented in Betta's A Complete Introduction.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Hear that, guys? Bigger tanks mean longer lives.
There you go. Jared said he subbed to Simply Betta. Awesome.
Hey, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, like I'd suggest for people who are going to have pet fish, absolutely get the biggest space you can get for them. I mean, it's going to make everything easier. Your water parameters are going to be less dangerous. You'll have to maintain it less. Even having a little gentle filter on there will help you even more. I highly suggest it. What I do filterless and in fairly small containers because I have a breeding setup, and I have to put a lot of time into maintaining the water, into keeping everything perfect. It's a lot of work, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to do a lot of work, and I only have to do water changes like once a week, so.
Nice. Nope, I'm in there every day with the juveniles and every couple days with the rest. I take care of my fishies. Although I am going to do a DIY sponge filter type setup for a rack of 1-gallon tanks. Not to like never have to change water, but just to help me delay water changes. Like maybe I can do them once a week if I have some mature sponge filters in a bunch of my jars. Not my jars, my containers.
So Teresa has a question for you. What advice would you give a 12-year-old girl who is wanting to get a betta?
Do it! They're super fun fish, and they have so much personality. My advice would be to get a healthy one. At the store, make sure you're starting out with a healthy fish, and to make sure that you have a heater to keep the water perfect, because they need pretty warm temperatures. And yeah, all you need is clean water, warm water, and a nice space for a healthy fish. And a filter makes it way easier. Get a filter too.
So Corvus Ocean says, I had a betta in my 180-gallon. Folks were hating. That is true. He had one fish. That was it. Just one betta in a 180-gallon tank.
Why were they hating? I want to know why they were hating. And thanks for the link, Priscilla. Thanks for subbing, Jay. King says, yep, I use Coke 2-liter bottles. Using 2-liter bottles as like betta grow outs is very common throughout the entire world. It's a nice size for a fish tank.
I always see those pictures of like the massive breeders. They just got bottles for like miles. It's crazy.
Yes, breeders of bettas, like wholesale breeders who are in Thailand and Indonesia and that kind of thing. They actually grow out their fish in these little flat whiskey bottles. Super flat little recycled whiskey jars that are then put on a warehouse floor and then you walk on them. You walk on the tops of the bottles. It's hard to explain without seeing like a video of it or a video of them.
Yeah, I see the picture. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts.
Okay, a study also decreased aggression in bettas by treating with antidepressant. That's kind of weird. I wonder if it's just like making them
drug your fish.
Yeah, they're just drugging them.
Yeah. They're just super chill after that. Bob, do you use the Python water changer? Says Jared.
I use the Aqueon because I find that it's exactly the same, but usually a little cheaper. And I only use it to fill my tanks, not to siphon.
Oh, that's right. You just pump it right out your window, don't you?
Yep, right into the lawn. Flynn says, I've never had bettas. I feel so left out. I need one in my life. Yes, you do, Flynn. Absolutely. Just don't do what I do and go crazy with them.
AMA Aquatics says, to me, could you not have a Betta barrack system filtered through a central tank so it helps save you time? I highly considered building a Betta barracks that would have been a recirculating system, but I didn't like the idea of all my fish sharing water, especially because I started out with a lot of imported stock, a lot of fish that weren't mine. I just felt uncomfortable with it, although I'm considering it for the future. Maybe not a cycling system, a cycling barracks, but maybe like a flow-through barracks where I do an auto water change like once a day, and it flows through and it doesn't go back and have the potential to give diseases to all my other fish.
What if fish up here was diseased and it was flowing to all the other fish? I guess I don't imagine that, right?
Yeah, well, my idea is to have a drip system where the output, where all the water exiting then goes into lines that then brings it out. All the lines connect.
Yeah, that's exactly what Corey did. What am I thinking?
Yeah, like that.
Like I think he did that like 2 years ago on his channel. You can find his Betta barracks.
Oh.
Where he dripped in every single one, and then had like a central
left,
like drain.
All right, then that's kind of the idea I have in mind. Not anytime soon, but it's on my future project list. I have a lot of things on my future project list. It keeps me busy.
I know. I have a lot on mine too.
Yeah. King says, keep your betta flaring to keep him healthy. My half moon is a fin biter. I would absolutely say letting your bettas flare every now and then is totally great for them. It's good exercise, it's stimulation. Totally do it.
Marmindia says, not saying to give your betta antidepressants. It was a study to find out what drives aggression in bettas. Ender says, good thing I don't go to my LFS often. I don't have a lot of money or else I would impulse buy all the time.
Yes.
See, I don't really impulse buy. I have a couple times. But the problem is I'll get a fish I've never had, like a betta, and then, as you saw, like a month later, now I have like 15 of them. And I ran into the same problem with goldfish, because, you know, I got a goldfish, then I got another one, and then I got a lot more.
Wait, you got more goldfish?
I got a lot more goldfish.
Oh, how did I miss that?
It's not on my channel yet.
Oh, nice.
So
right on.
Insider info for everyone. I mean, people on my Patreon know about it, but they get the inside info over there.
Well, right on. Break It, Make It Better says, thanks, and see you later. Have a good night. Thank you, Break It, Make It Better.
So Brian says, just subscribe. Where'd that go? To Simply Betta. We bought our son's Betta, Arlo. Now I'm hooked into the hobby, working on a 30-gallon planted tank for one of my own. Right on.
30-gallon planted. That sounds like fun.
So I keep some of mine in the smaller containers, and then I have some in, like I have a 20-gallon long that's split, that's planted. They're obviously in my 40-gallon breeder, and I will say they're way more enjoyable in planted tanks. So if you got the room, bigger the better, in my opinion.
GBR Aquatics says, what's the best way to raise some vinegar eels, and is it possible for it not to stink? I don't think vinegar eels stink. When you pour them into the filter to collect them, I mean, it smells like apple cider vinegar, but it doesn't, I wouldn't call it stinky. Not vinegar eels.
Rob Hicks says, puffers are now Bob. So the good news about puffers is that I can't go crazy on puffers because most puffers can only be in tanks by themselves. So that's never going to happen.
DK Fish Hooks, finding it hard to get food to my betta in my community tank. Any tips? Ooh, are all the other fast fish getting it before your betta? Maybe try to
have that problem when my two females snuck into my planted tank because there's rainbows, tetras, basically all surface dwelling. But I feed so much that it doesn't matter.
Good. Yeah, the females are pigs too. They're total pigs. But maybe you could try to lure the fast fish to one side and then the slow fish on the other side.
So the way I had to start doing it is, because I feed mostly flake, but I actually had to like dip it into the water so it sinks down instead of floating around.
Oh, makes sense.
Simply Betta, how many, I think you already answered this, but we'll get it again quickly. How many jars, water holding units do you have and change daily?
I haven't counted for a while. I actually don't know. I should know this, but I'm pretty sure I have about 40 adults, including some juveniles who have grown up who I'm ready to sell and get rid of. And as for my daily water changes, I have about 20 jarred juveniles who get a daily water change. And then another 20 like bigger containers who get like maybe a bi-daily or twice a week water change, depending on how much I feed them.
The Fish Nerd is also a betta list. You're right there with Flynn. You guys need some bettas.
You guys need some. You absolutely need some. What are you doing?
Simply Betta, what's the difference between king bettas and giant bettas?
King bettas, I think, is a term coined by Petco or PetSmart. It's basically, they mean a big fish. Well, to be a giant fish, an official giant fish, it's supposed to meet the size, minimum size, according to the IBC, which is the International Betta Congress showing chart, which is 2 inches, 6 centimeters. Oh my gosh, I need to look at the number. I can't believe I'm forgetting the number. But yes, king bettas are basically big bettas. Maybe they have giant genes in them. They're just enormous, but giants are like the super big guys. Super big. I don't think you're going to find a giant at Petco or PetSmart.
Yeah, both those stores have a bad habit of making up their own names. So Jadon says, how do we find out what you have for sale?
Well, I haven't done it yet, but I need to update my website so it has a little store in it. I'll be doing my first kind of test batch of available fish pretty soon. Like I was thinking within the next week or so, because I have a bunch of half moon, like Cambodian red type fish who need a home. And I also have some like pet quality half moon placots that are greenish, goldish marble. So I'll be doing that pretty soon. Some pet qualities and some pretty nice fish. But I'll probably make an announcement on my channel. That'll be my first round of shipping fish, which makes me really nervous, but I want to try it. I need to try this. I need to do it. Bare necessities. Do you ship the Betta you sell? Yes, I will ship throughout the United States.
So Crucellus, if that's how you pronounce it, says, where is Nisi? Nisi is busy tonight. However, it is her birthday tomorrow, so if you know who Nisi is, she's the super mod that runs all the live streams, basically. And
yes.
If you see her on any Facebook groups tomorrow, just give her a happy birthday.
Oh, all right, I will. Rich says, how much was your most expensive fish? For me, my most expensive fish was an enormous giant male who I paid $70 for. My most expensive fish, but it was totally worth it. I really wanted him to start out my giant line, and he was perfect, and I loved him. And that's my most expensive fish. Bob, how about yours?
So my most expensive Betta fish was $40. My most expensive fish is either my Mabu puffer or my zebra plecos.
Zebra plecos,
and
nice.
I bought my zebra plecos. I got a really, really good deal on them. I bought them from a breeder, not from a retailer, but I got 6 of them for $600.
Oh, wait, they're only $100 each? That's not bad. Usually they're 2.
Yep, if you can get them from a breeder, it's way cheaper.
Nice. Rob Hicks Aquarium says that Corey did a fish room tour where vinegar eels were collected by using floss on the top of the bottle, and you can suck them out with no mess. Yes, that is an option. I personally like to just use a coffee filter and like glug, glug, glug for a few seconds, all my vinegar in, just because it's faster. I don't have to pre-prepare putting the floss in and waiting hours for all the vinegar eels to come up.
Reverend Ryan Bob Gibbons. Ugh. Taylor, how many hours do you reckon you spend working in the fish room per day, week?
Oh my gosh. Well, it depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm doing like a little project and I'll just have fun in there. Like, let's say I'm just doing maintenance, just feeding and doing water changes. I might spend like an hour feeding and water changes and whatever else needs to be done, taking care of fry. Yeah, probably an hour. But it's an hour that I enjoy. Like, I love my hour in the fish room. It's when my kid goes to sleep. It's happy, nighttime. Yay, I can do whatever I want. I'm going to go play with my fish.
What do you think about using almond leaves?
Almond leaves. Oh, Indian almond leaves are supposed to be absolutely fantastic for adding tannins into your water, making super healthy water that's mimicking the natural habitat of bettas using Indian almond leaves or catappa leaves. I don't use Indian almond leaves. I've been using a big batch of oak leaves that I bought. They act a little differently. But I just use them because they were available locally. But once I'm done with my oak leaves and using the tannins from there, I'm going to buy myself a big box of Indian almond leaves. I just want to use my oak leaves first. And I'm using those because a really reputable Betta breeder in the Netherlands uses them. So I trust him.
I have all 3, and I really don't notice a difference, but
yeah,
like, I'm not really.
I notice
trying.
If I throw the oak leaves in the water, I don't see tannins for days. Like it takes so long for the oak leaves to work.
That's true. I have noticed that. That's true.
Okay. AMA Aquatics, do you do black orchid bettas? I do not. Right now I'm working on super black bettas with a cool white butterfly band on the tail.
What do you think about crown tail bettas? Fan? Not a fan?
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of crown tails. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just they're not my cup of tea. They look, I guess when I look at crown tails, they look ripped to me. That's just my personal preference. Crown tails are fantastic fish, but I'm focusing on the other ones. I'm even working with spade tails, which I think are really cool. Not a lot of people work with them to try to improve them or make spade tail lines, but I'm going to try it. It's basically a triangle-shaped tail.
I either love them or hate them. So my very first Betta was a black orchid. that died. I don't know why, but I had them for, I don't know, like 6 months. And then I bought 5 more, like sight unseen, and then I donated all those. Nice. And I haven't had any since until last week or the week before. I was in my local fish store and I found the coolest looking one. It was like an all black body, and all of his fins are like a real bright orange, and then the tips are all black.
Ooh, yeah, cool. Like, are you gonna make a video on him soon?
Yes. He hasn't been in a video yet, but he definitely will be. He kind of looks like a Halloween fish, so I'm gonna save him for a Halloween video.
Your Halloween fish, nice. Young Spy says, do you think that buying a Betta fish at Petco is a good idea? If you find a healthy one, there's nothing wrong with it. That's fine. Just make sure you're getting a healthy one that has decent... It's just a decent fish with a nice strong body, good fins, not just kind of laying there really weak or in super nasty water about to die. You have to be careful about that. Okay, and I feel like I'm really bad at reading the chat. It's distracting. I don't know what to do, so thanks for reading questions, Bob.
Well, it's easier when there's 2 people.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good question.
Yeah.
The Turtle Girl says, how and when did you get started into bettas?
I've always loved bettas. I've always been a big nerd on the genetics behind all the color traits and the patterns, and I just thought it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But I started finally taking them seriously about a year ago. Is when I started taking them a lot more seriously and having goals of winning some trophies at some Betta shows. So that's what I'm working towards.
Now, have you been into any other fish or always bettas?
Oh, absolutely. I love fish. I've had this little fascination for fish. I love Ranchu goldfish. I've always had a big fascination with them. And then white clouds, believe it or not. I want a huge white cloud tank. And also, let's see, not saltwater fish. I've never really been interested in saltwater. That's a good question. I like a lot of things. It's hard for me to narrow down, but I definitely know I like bettas the most. So that's what I'm focusing on. Just because the genetics is really fascinating.
What foods, Dwayne wants to know, what foods do you use to condition your bettas for breeding?
I use a variety of live and frozen foods to condition my bettas. I feed them more. I feed them multiple times a day. Sometimes I use a high-quality soaked pellet. Sometimes I'll do frozen bloodworms. I stuff their little faces full of live blackworms. I'll do, what else? Grindle worms. Sometimes I'll squirt a bunch of grindle worms into their containers. Just feed them a lot. Feed them good food. And that's what happens. Ooh, Crucelis Fajardo says, why don't you touch on rosetails? I could rant for quite a while about rosetails. I'm not a huge fan of rosetails because I feel like it's too much. It's too big, and bigger isn't always better. Rosetails a lot of times can have huge fins that, as the fish ages, the fins become so big and heavy, the poor little fish can't even swim right anymore. And yeah, I could rant on rosetails. I did rant on rosetails in my last live stream I did on my channel with Big City Bettas. You can listen to that and learn a lot about rosetails and feathertails.
Yeah,
and why we don't like them.
Actually, made me really sad. Made me really sad. Because I just spent $40 on a rosetail.
I would say it's irresponsible breeding that's being marketed as being like bigger and better and fancier, but it's really not. It's really not a very good thing.
I did show some pictures to Jeanne, and she didn't think that the fins were really big enough to cause a problem. Of course, that could, change as it gets older, but...
It depends on how old your fish is. Do you know how old?
I have no idea. That's why I hate buying adults, just because you never know.
Yeah. It depends. I didn't get a good close look at him, but if she thinks so, she knows a lot about bettas. Maybe she wouldn't think it'd be a problem. I hope not. That'd be great if he'd be okay. The Roger Deadham says, so Betta splendens has been line bred like dogs to come up with different lines. Yes. What if we bred other wild species? Would we ever get to where we are with splendens? Probably. It'd just take a lot of people for many, many years to create all these different varieties of beautiful fish, which is pretty much done with a lot of our ornamental fish. I mean, look at goldfish and bettas. and platies and swordtails. Totally. You can take any species, really, and modify the heck out of it to be super cool. It just take a long time.
So GBR Aquatics says, are blackworms small enough for fry, and can you culture them?
Blackworms can be cultured. They can be cultured. I have a culture, in fact, that just crashed on me 2 days ago, and I lost most of my blackworms, but I saved a bunch of them, and I'm just going to have to restart. Blackworms can be cultured with a sponge filter, super clean water, just feed them. They multiply by dividing, and supposedly they divide like once a week. And what was the other part of that question? I totally missed it.
Oh, of course, now I don't. Oh, are they small enough for fry?
Oh, not brand new fry. Maybe fry that like are kind of mid-size. You can find a little teeny blackworm and give it to some fry. It's a great in-betweener food for once the fry gets big enough.
So Flint's Fish Forum says, is it true some plants can be toxic to bettas? I've never heard that.
I haven't heard that one either. Good question.
Yeah, not that I don't know.
If anybody in the chat knows.
I know plants can be toxic towards other plants, but I've never heard them being toxic towards fish.
Jean says, I put my Dumbo Half Moon in a tank with tiger barbs, and now he looks like a plakat. Yeah. Aren't tiger barbs pretty thin, nippy?
Oh, yeah. They can definitely... Yeah.
Yeah, especially a Dumbo Half Moon, especially with those Dumbo fins. They're so slow, like you probably couldn't really do anything to get away. Mr. Science Geek, blackworm cultures always crash, then they go fine, and then crash. Yeah, well, I've had mine for probably about 8 months, and it was doing great, and I forgot to do my weekly water change on the tank. I might have forgotten for 2 weeks in a row, and it crashed. What's wrong with me? So I'm gonna have to start over.
Simply Betta, when's your next video?
I'm editing it right now. I'm totally editing it right now. I try to do once a week, and I've been really good about doing it once a week, but I'm pretty sure I accidentally missed last week. Oops.
So what are, Killian Aquatics says, what are some common diseases that affect bettas?
Good question. Common diseases are fin rot. Fin rot, velvet, fungal infections. There are bacterial infections, which include fin rot and like cloudy eye. Other diseases. Ick. Definitely ick, which is a parasite. And, oh man. If Big City Bettas is here, she could totally list all the common diseases, and she's really good at identifying diseases. I'm not the best yet. I haven't had to deal with a whole lot of problems, besides like a fin rot here and there. But yeah. Cecilia, should female bettas be flared for exercise? They definitely can be, yeah. It's stimulating for them. They like to flare at each other and wiggle around, and it's funny to watch. Totally do it.
All right,
Jean.
First spam of the night.
Oh, jeez. Guacamole.
Have you ever attempted a bloodworm culture? I've never heard of someone doing that.
No, bloodworm cultures would be tricky. Bloodworms are the larva of a nymph, which is like a little mosquito, and they are native to the U.S. And I think if you have a mosquito larva culture, like outside trying to get mosquito larvae, you can occasionally get some nymph larvae, which are bloodworms in the mulm down at the bottom. But I don't know about anyone like keeping like a culture inside or anything like that.
Have you ever done mosquito larvae?
No, I haven't. I could, definitely I could, but I didn't get around to it this summer, and I had plenty of other live foods. I really like grindle worms so far, and I just got a white worm culture in the mail. I'm starting that up. I'm hoping that produces soon, because the less work, the better. Less work, the better.
What about micro worms?
Yes, I have micro worms too, and banana worms, which are even smaller than micro worms. They're great for little tiny fry. Absolutely.
That's the only thing I culture is micro worms, because they're super easy. They don't require much work.
Nope, not at all. Except when they crash and you have to clean out their stinky containers.
It smells so good.
Horrible. I had some banana worms that crashed on me. I was redoing their culture, and I swear it smelled like a hot outhouse at a state fair on a hot day. That's what it smelled like in my kitchen for like an hour. It's disgusting. but worth it. I love those banana worms.
So Teresa says, safe meds for bettas. I guess that's a good question because I've just been using my regular meds.
For what? I want to know for what. I just use regular fish meds. I don't use any Betta particular meds if I have to use them.
Okay,
Which
so
let's
so basically just your standard meds are good.
Yeah,
with
just
bettas.
standard meds.
All right.
Pickled Plecostomus. How large is your grindleworm culture? I have a pretty decent size. I have 2 big Tupperware containers that I pull from. It's enough to feed my juveniles, and I'm actually going to expand it because I want more, just in case I had one crash and I needed food. But pretty decent, like bigger than my face. That's how big my cultures are, and I have multiple of them. And I'm going to do more.
Fish Nerd says, when a micro worm culture crashes, I just chuck the whole container. I do the same thing.
No, I make a new one. I just scoop some of the gross top layer off the top and plop it in the new tank. Voila. Enderflight. Oh, I've smelled that before. Yeah,
Flynn is crazy and says he seriously likes the smell of rapashi.
Flynn, I love the smell of rapashi. Especially the carnivore mix. It smells like dog food. I like it.
That doesn't smell good.
It's good. It's good. Let's see. Susan, I've been lurking. Hi, Susan. I love Susan. Aqua Apprentice says, oh, the old State Fair outhouse scent. It's true. Oh, Teresa Cookie agrees. Rapashi smells like cat food and or dog food. Yes.
Not the kind I'm getting, that's for sure.
Wait, what kind are you using?
Let's see. Right now I think it's morning wood. I have bottom scratcher. I mainly use it for plecos. So I have like the pleco formulas and they don't smell good at all.
Oh man. Freshwater Fish Freak says, I want wild bettas. Me too. In fact, I've gotten some and I'm making a video about it soon.
Alright, well we got time for a couple more questions.
Yeah, bring them in. Bring them in.
A couple more questions here, folks.
Couple more questions. What state do you live in? I live fairly close to Washington. In that area, in the Bob area,
Close enough that I'm going to try to come over and film your fish room.
Someday. That'd be awesome. I'll expand. My vision is to have like a warehouse full of fish. And come on over. I'll put you to work.
I have the same vision. I don't need a house. Just give me a warehouse with a bed.
Yes. Yes. Craig says, if I breed to solid color bettas, what will the fry likely look like? Okay, a platinum white betta male, black orchid female. Well, let's see. Black and a white. I've actually never bred a black and a white together. I think you're gonna get a mix of black and blue and white. Maybe somebody who's actually done the cross could let me know. I'm curious too. Platinum white with black orchid. All right, what else? I'm so bad at reading the chat. Priscilla, thanks for sending people over to my channel with the links.
Yep, definitely huge thanks to Priscilla tonight, doing lots of linking.
Turtle Girl says, what's your next goal for your bettas? My ultimate goal is to go to shows and win some trophies because I think that'd be a lot of fun and something challenging to shoot for because there's a lot of beautiful fish breeders out there. And my next goal, also just trying to narrow down what kind of fish I like the most. That's my current goal because I just don't know yet. I like kois, I like giants, I like super blacks, I like butterflies, I like Cambodians. I'm really trying to experiment with a lot of things to narrow it down so I can focus. Help. I have to focus.
So Killing Aquatics says, we'll probably close this out because even though we have talked about it, I am very interested in buying bettas from you someday. I am in Washington. How do we make contact with you?
Well, cool. Buying bettas. One of these days, I think pretty soon, within the next couple weeks, I'm going to open up my website and a little online store with some fish I have available right now. I don't have a lot. Right now, I only have survivors from a period where I had a ton of spawns die. It's actually in a video on my channel called, like, Betta Fry Disaster. So I have the survivors who are growing up right now. And I think on my channel I'm going to make an announcement about it when it finally happens. Yeah.
Very good. So that's pretty much an hour. I think we are done.
Right on. That was fun. I feel like my voice is cracking. I'm not used to talking so much. This is great.
All right, so
Joy.
What?
Wait, I want to answer a question from Joy real fast.
Absolutely.
You can if you want to. Sometimes I don't use aquarium salt in water when I do water changes, and sometimes I do. I don't know, mixed feelings about that.
What was the question?
Oh, aquarium salt for Betta every water change or not? Question mark. Yeah, some people love it, some people don't do it. Okay, and I'll let you close it out, Bob. I know I'm trying to answer tons of questions all the time when you're trying to stop.
No, it doesn't bother me at all. I have nothing else to do.
Cool.
But that is going to be it. Bringing it to a close. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Of course, this was a blast. Thanks for having me.
It was a ton of fun, and also all the testing beforehand to get it figured out.
Hey, at least we did it, and now it works, and that's awesome.
And hopefully we'll know how to fix it in the future for the audio.
Absolutely. So thanks for having me. Everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. Go over to my channel if you like Betta fish. It's simply Betta. And hopefully I'll see you there.
Yep, it's linked in the chat right now from Priscilla. Definitely check it out. Subscribe it.
Great.
It's a ton of fun. You'll love it. And don't forget, we got the live stream coming up on Monday. And I don't have a guest for next Thursday yet, but I'm sure by Monday I'll be able to announce one. And I think that's it.
Right on. Okay, thanks, Bob. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you later.
See ya.